swinging in, and it is a fair ball, and Wayzata wins it. Champlin Park back to state for the third straight year.
Hello and welcome to Sports Jam. I'm Jay Wilcox.
And I'm Jason Melillo in for John Jacobson. This week on the program, highlights from the Robbinsdale Rumble, wrestling match, plus highlights from hockey, basketball, swimming, and more.
Also, we'll meet one of Minnesota's top girls basketball players from the junior class later in our Sports Jam Spotlight.
Let's start with girls basketball and a great matchup between two of the area's and the state's top teams. Hopkins and Wayzata could very well play 3 times this year, twice in the regular season and once in the Section 6 4A tournament. Round 1 was played last week in Wayzata, and it's all Royals early. Delela Chacolis to Angie Hammond for 2 to get the Royals started. Then Paige Beckers gets the steal and basket, and Hopkins goes up 14-3 early. Beckers then sends the long pass to Raina Suggs, and she scores. The Royals lead 44-29 at halftime. But Wayzata comes out firing in the second half. Jasmine Smiley with a nice catch-and-shoot three-pointer. Then sophomore Olivia Arnebeck gets a couple of big hoops off the bench. This basket cuts the Royals' lead to 12. Mimi Schrader hits a long 3 for Wayzata, and the Hopkins lead continues to dwindle. Then Jenna Johnson hits a big 3 from the corner, and the lead is down to 3. And Schrader takes over down the stretch. The baseline jumper after she shakes the defender gives the Trojans a 1-point lead at 65-64, and Wayzata goes on to win 70-66, a huge win for the Trojans.
I feel like I've lost to Hopkins like all my life, so it feels good to get a win here. It's a good boost. Obviously, this is kind of a preseason game. You know, we'll hopefully play them again towards the end of the season, and that's what really matters. So, yeah, this is a fun win. We're going to enjoy it, but we got to get ready. We're not all world. We got to come back and get to practice next week, and we got a good St. Michael team next week that we got to prepare for.
The teams play again February 16th. We'll have highlights of the Hopkins and Wayzata boys game later in the show, and meet Wayzata's Kallie Theisen in our Sports Jam Spotlight.
Maple Grove is also having a strong season. The Crimson didn't get tested much in their most recent Northwest Suburban Conference game. Maple Grove hosting Irondale in this one. Autumn Leinart zips the pass to Paige Hinsey. She scores plus a foul for a 12-7 Crimson lead. Jordan Lamker runs the break and feeds Melillo for the hoop. Melillo at 16 in the first half. Maple Grove is good from long distance as well. Abby Schulte hits for 3 here. Then the next time down the floor, Lauren Moline lines up the 3 for a 35-16 Crimson lead. In the second half, Hinsey with a nice fake, and then she'll drive to the bucket for 2 more for the Crimson. Katrina Tice shakes a defender and drives hard for the basket as the Crimson rolls. 81-38 is the final.
Champlin Park's girls basketball team enters the week on an 8-game winning streak. They played host to District 11 rival Andover last week. First half, and off the inbounds pass, it will be Erica Hicks to drive, and then she pulls up and hits a jumper to give the Rebels a 19-10 lead. Hicks is pretty quick on defense as well. She jumps this pass for a steal and layup. 15 points in the first half for Hicks as Champlin Park builds on its lead. The Rebels in transition. Maya DeBose passes to Megan Munike, and then back to Amanda Pollard, who hits a 3, and the lead is 16 points. Pollard can drive to the bucket as well, as she does here, attacking the basket for 2 of her 11 points in the game. Champlin Park leads 39-16 at the half. And in the second half, Izzy Quick misses her shot, but Gabby Maki with a strong offensive rebound in the paint puts it up for 2. The Rebels go on to win 59-36. They're on the road twice this week.
The Maranatha Christian Academy girls basketball team is ranked 3rd in the state in Class 2A. They met a longtime conference rival last week as the Mustangs are at home to take on Heritage Christian. Both teams unbeaten in MCAA play coming in. Jacqueline Jarnett passes to Kylie Post off the inbound post, scores and is fouled for an early MCA lead. A nice interior pass for the Eagles. Taylor Shuck to Jordan Allen for 2. Allen is one of 4 Eagles players to score in double figures. Lori Krellen's Eagles team trying to stay with the Mustangs. Nice play here as Abby Torvey feeds a cutting Annika Simonson for 2 of her 19 points, but Heritage still trails it by 4. The Mustangs' Brianna Smeestad hits a 3, helping MCA to a 41-31 halftime lead. She nets 16 points in the game. In the second half now, the Mustangs tip a pass and it leads to a fast break. Post goes the distance for the layup. The senior guard scores 20 to lead Maranatha. And they continue to build on their lead. Kayla Jo Davis knocks down a pull-up jumper to put Maranatha up by 25. The Mustangs go on to win by a final score of 86-68. Now to wrestling. Armstrong and Cooper are in rebuilding mode, and they renewed their rivalry in what turned into a close Robbinsdale Rumble. Longtime assistant James Stanton, now the Cooper head coach. Armstrong takes the early lead. Zach Baca gets the takedown on his way to a 13-7 win over Sam Thurston in the 126-pound match. It's 15-6 Falcons. Amari Easley follows with a takedown and a 7-0 win over Peter Lee at 132, and it's 18-6 Armstrong. At 152 pounds, Ben Menengue fights off a headlock and gets a takedown. He wins the closest match of the night, 4-2 over Terrell Barnes at 152 pounds. Then Cooper takes over though. Musin Omar pins Noah Lindgren just 22 seconds into their 160-pound match. The Hawks' comeback is on. At 182, Craig Henry keeps the momentum going for Cooper, getting the fall against Tyler Schroyer. And one match later, Cooper takes the lead. So it comes down to heavyweight, and Cooper's Cedric Williams needs a pin. He does get a win, 7-0, but Armstrong's James Ohm does his part by avoiding the pin. That allows the Falcons to hold on for their 7th straight win over Cooper, 33-31.
Surreal. I mean, this is my first varsity rumble ever. It's crazy. I told over half of our school to be here. It means the world to me.
Big win for the Falcons. Wayzata's wrestling team faced some really tough squads over the weekend at Monticello. Prior to that, the Trojans met up with Lake Conference foe Hopkins. New coach Billy Behringer takes over at Hopkins this season. Wayzata takes control of this match, though. Gayle Swenson is ranked 4th at 106. He wrestles at 113 and pins Eric Forbords. Matt Wallerius keeps it rolling for Wayzata as he gets the fall against Jamel Wisby in the 120-pound match, and it's quickly 18-0 Trojans. They win the first 7 matches with 7 pins. And the last of those 7 wins goes to Mitchell Hogue, who is ranked 5th at 138. He wrestles at 145 and gets a fall against Brandon Yellowrobe. Hopkins has a little more experience in the middle and upper weights, and De'Allen Rutherford gets the takedown on his way to a close 4-3 win over Josh Hara at 152. Returning state entrant RJ Chacolas gets the 2nd pin in a row for Hopkins in the 182-pound match. But overall, Wayzata dominates this match. Cameron Johnson gets a pin at 195 as Wayzata rolls to a 66-15 win over the Royals. And we'll hear from the Trojans coming up later in the show.
A lot of emotion in the end of that Robbinsdale Rumble.
Yeah, interesting one. All you have to do is not get pinned. He knew he probably wasn't going to win, but it's always fun.
A loss is almost as good as a win in that situation.
That's part of team wrestling, and they got it done. Still to come here on Sports Jam, highlights from a rematch of last year's Section 6 boys basketball final and more.
Welcome back to Sports Jam. And Jay, we had a really good boys basketball matchup last week.
That's right. Wayzata's boys basketball team ended a nearly 6-decade-long state tournament drought last winter when they beat Hopkins in the Section 6 4A final. The team's first meeting since then was last Friday night, this one on the Royals' home court. Hopkins looks inside to Dane Zimmer, and he battles through the contact to score for a 15-10 Royals lead. Wayzata counters with good perimeter shooting. Keaton Heidi knocks down a corner 3, and it's 28-27 Trojans. Joe Hedstrom sets a big pick to free up Kerwin Walton here. Walton hits for 3 of his 14. Hopkins is up 36-32 at the half. Second half, a 2-on-1. Jacob Benninga to Drew Gallinson for the layup, and the 39-38 Trojans lead. Benninga's defender gets caught up in the traffic a little bit here, and Benninga pops a long 3 on his way to a 27-point game for Wayzata. But Hopkins battles back. Zeke Naji finds Walton open for a 3, and the Royals go back in front 57-55. And Hopkins is a little stronger inside. Naji fights through a double team to score, plus the foul, as Hopkins wins round 1 against the Trojans 77-70.
In the NCAA Conference, Maranatha Christian Academy is trying to keep pace with St. Croix Prep for an early lead in the conference standings. Heritage Christian was hoping for an upset. Maranatha, the home team for this one, in the back end of a girls-boys doubleheader. The Mustangs' pressure in the backcourt leads to a turnover. Bayesian Newbern to Makai Harut for a layup and an early 5-zip lead. The Eagles rally to take the lead. Ben Allen with a three from the top of the key puts Heritage up by a point. But Maranatha goes back in front a little later. Ben Lechtenberg hits a jumper in traffic in the lane, and MCA is up by 5. That lead later goes to 10 in the first half. But Heritage keeps it close. Sam Fredrickson with the rebound of the missed shot goes up strong and scores, plus the foul as the Eagles get to within 4. Newbern leads the Mustangs in scoring with 19 points, including this baseline drive just before halftime to give Maranatha a 6-point lead. They pull away in the second half and go on a win over Heritage 67-46.
Now to boys hockey, where defending Northwest Suburban Conference West Division champion Armstrong Cooper and Champlin Park are chasing Irondale for the league lead. The Wings hosting Champlin Park last week. The Rebels strike as Will Ellingson feeds Brady Swanstrom in front. He's stopped but stays with it to knock it in. Swanstrom gets the goal. It's 1-0 Champlin Park after a period. Tied at 1 in the second, and Carter Lucas fires. Riley Enderly buries the rebound, and Armstrong Cooper goes up 2-1 through 2 periods. In the third, Enderly has the puck get away, but Jack Campion is there to bury the wrist shot. The Wings lead 3-1 with 6:18 left. But Pat Janaston and the Rebels are not out of it. Sam Schuster brings it out of the scrum and goes to the net. The first one stopped, but Schuster knocks it in, and it's 3-2. Then with 47 seconds left, Champlin Park gets the tying goal. Jack Cargis chases the rebound down and slides it in. There's no scoring in overtime, and it ends in a 3-3 tie.
Also in the Northwest Suburban Conference, Osseo is home to play Coon Rapids. No score early in the second period when Osseo's Dylan McKenzie's shot is deflected into the Cardinals' net by Mitchell Meyer, and it's 1-0 Orioles. They go up 2-0 before the Cardinals get on the board. Michael Crosby's shot from the point gets into the Orioles' net. That's a power play marker for Coon Rapids. The Cardinals add another to make it a 2-2 game. But great work here by Osseo's Rocco Marcaccini stealing the puck, and then he'll go on, deke the defenseman, and go in and finish the deal for the goal. That breaks the tie, and it's 3-2 Osseo. The Orioles get another breakaway a few minutes later as Nate Musial springs Ty Hill, who skates in alone and buries the shot, giving the Orioles a 4-2 lead. 6 goals are scored in the second period. Osseo goes on to beat Coon Rapids 5-3.
In boys swimming and diving, teams are still early in their conference meet schedules. Champlin Park and Osseo met up last week in a Northwest Suburban Conference dual meet. In the 200-yard medley relay, the Rebels team of Donovan Duran, Trey Carlson, Ryan Pickar, and anchor Dalton Stolman take first in a time of 1:51.93. The 200-yard freestyle, and Pickard takes first for Champlin Park as he wins by over 5 seconds. His time is 1:54.22. The senior later wins the 100-yard butterfly as well. Osseo gets a win in the 200-yard individual medley as Koi Pham touches home first with a time of 2:08.62 for the Orioles. Pham also wins the 500 free. The 50 freestyle race is a tight one. Bottom of the screen, Champlin Park's Haven Eliasson. He takes first in 24:59, just ahead of Osseo's Adam Huser and the Rebels' Stolman. And in the 100 free, it's Champlin Park taking the top 3 spots, and it's pretty close at the end. In the middle of the screen is senior A.J. Hirsch. He wins in 1:53.93, just ahead of Eliasson and Carlson. Champlin Park goes on to win the meet over Osseo. 102-83 is the final.
And just ahead, Wayzata's Kallie Theisen is a big reason for the Wayzata girls basketball team is undefeated and ranks 2nd in the state.
And we'll meet the Trojans Junior next in our Sports Jam Spotlight.
Kallie Theisen played off the bench for the Wayzata girls basketball team as a freshman and became a starter as a sophomore. The junior forward is now a captain for the Trojans and their leading scorer this season. We profile Theisen in this week's Sports Jam Spotlight.
At
6'2" and with long arms, Kallie Theisen has the physical attributes for basketball, but Tyson's steady progression goes beyond her natural gifts.
She's a tireless worker, so she just keeps getting better and better and better. She never takes a day off, always works at it, and you know, sometimes it's little things, footwork, ball handling, little tweaks to her form and her shot, stuff like that.
I think I have just like really expanded like what I've been able to do. I didn't used to be as good of a shooter, so I really expanded that, and then also just being more consistent.
Tyson contributes all over the floor. She can score underneath, step out and hit jump shots, move the ball, and run the floor.
Rebound underneath, Tyson, and one.
That's a matchup headache for opposing teams and something the Trojans utilize to their advantage.
Well, it's great because, you know, we can try a bunch of different game plans, and it's hard for the defense to adjust and, you know, figure out what they're going to do against her, because if they take away one part of her game, she's got another part coming, right, that she'll use to her advantage against them, and you know, she adds a lot to the team and brings a lot every single day.
She's a very dynamic player. The length she has to be able to move both inside and out makes her a tough matchup offensively, and then defensively, I know her coach was credited with a quote about how she does all the little things, and that is definitely true. She caught us a few times where our player took just half a possession off, and she made us pay.
On defense, Tyson's skills sometimes get overlooked. Her long wingspan is helpful, but Tyson also just seems to have an instinct for how to defend.
On defense, I just try to always have my arms up. You know, if they're down, that's not really helping anyone. So yeah, I just try to play straight up defense when we're on man, and then in zone, just making sure I have my hands up to cover the space.
She's got an uncanny knack for blocking shots without fouling. Very rarely over the last 3 years has she been in foul trouble, every once in a while. But as many shots as she blocks and as many shots as she alters, it's pretty impressive that she's not in foul trouble. But she just has a knack for using her length, using her size, using her timing to alter block shots and stay out of foul trouble.
Wayzata doesn't have a single senior on the team, so the future is bright. But there's still a lot of basketball to be played this season, and right now that's what Kallie Theisen and the Trojans are focusing on.
Yeah, that's really awesome, especially just because since we were kind of new this year, not everyone had played together, that just knowing next year we're not going to have to deal with that. We can just go straight into it, and we've already played together, so that's super exciting, but obviously we want to get as far as we can this year too.
Wayzata is now 16-0 following last Friday night's win over Hopkins, in which Tyson scored 10 points. The Trojans play at Park Center on Thursday. Sports Jam continues as Jay talks wrestling with the Wayzata Trojans.
Welcome back to Sports Jam. We're joined today by the Wayzata wrestling team after a dual meet win over Hopkins, and a couple of the Trojans athletes, and also Coach Eric Swensen. Starting with Gayle Swenson, and you guys kind of mowed through Hopkins a little bit here tonight, but tell me about this season so far. How do you feel about the way things have gone for your team up to this point?
We've had a pretty good season. We've been able to compete with a lot of teams. Against I feel like our team, we have a little more flexibility with Matt Hogue, so we can get him in and we can get some of the younger guys in, and we're able to bump up. So we've had a pretty successful season so far, so yeah.
And you two guys, obviously need some good competition. You've been at some big tournaments. How do you feel like those went for some of your top end guys, to get a chance to wrestle against the state's best?
It's an eye-opener for our team. Sometimes we get a little bit easier competition, and then to be able to go to a Minnesota Christmas tournament in the Rumble, it's a good eye-opener. Get some really tough matches, some state caliber matches, so I think it's pretty good having those matches in there.
All right, Cale, thanks for joining us. Have fun the rest of the season. And Mitchell Hogue, you guys, one of 3 Hogue brothers in the lineup here tonight. Is it a good confidence boost for the guys to see, each other and all of your teammates come out and do so well here tonight?
Yeah, I'd say so. It's nice when you have a whole team that bands together and wins matches like this, and wins a lot of them by pins. It just builds up confidence for the whole team.
I know you guys were at the tournament over at Brooklyn Center last weekend, and it's not the toughest competition, but at the same time, a lot of guys got a chance to see some success. Do you feel like that helped some of the younger guys too?
Yeah, it's nice to get a few tournaments out every now and then that are nice winning tournaments, I guess you could say. We have a pretty tough schedule for a lot of the time, so tournaments like BCCA help some of our newer guys get quality wins.
I know the conference part of the schedule isn't, necessarily the biggest focus, but I know you got Minnetonka in this week ahead here. Is it something that at least is a starting point to maybe be a late conference champion? Is that something you guys have as at least a mini goal for the team?
Yeah, I could see that being a nice goal for the team. We lost a bunch of guys last year, but I think it'd be nice to prove that we're still as good as we are, even without those guys this year.
All right, thanks for joining us, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
And Coach Swensen, give me a progress report. What do you think of your team so far this year?
Well, as always, I think we work pretty hard, and I think we're continuing to grow. We're starting a lot of freshmen, a lot of first-year sophomores, so the future looks good for us.
Yeah, you've definitely been in some really tough tournaments that test even your top guys, and then some others that aren't. Is that a good mixture? Is that something that you strive to do? Is to see a variety of competition like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was really, really important for us to go to the Minnesota Christmas tournament. That Wayzata used to go to it years ago, and taking a break from it. And I think it's a good wake-up call for a lot of our kids to understand how good the state of Minnesota is.
In this week, you've got Minnetonka coming in. It's also Youth Night. What does that entail for the Trojans program?
Yeah, I think there's probably an unspoken rivalry with Minnetonka, being the neighbors to us. I think in all sports, I think Minnetonka wants to beat us. We want to beat Minnetonka, and we've spent a lot of time in the last 4 years with our youth team. We're very, very proud of our youth team. They won the NYWA state title last year, K through 6, and so we like to showcase them. So when we wrestle against Minnetonka on Thursday, our high school team is going to try to win, and our youth team is going to try to win.
All right, Eric, thanks for joining us, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you. Thanks for covering us.
That's Eric Swensen, the head coach of the Wayzata wrestling team, after a victory over Hopkins. And again, they've got a big one coming up against another rival, Minnetonka. We'll be back to wrap up Sports Jam, but first it's a look at our plays of the week. By the Pirates. Fry giving it up in Lozier for the jam.
Looking for local? Even more local? CCX Media gives you the option to connect with your community on multiple levels. CCX Create welcomes you, community residents, to connect and experience television in an exciting way. The free TV classes we offer will have you on your way to creating TV, and our wide variety of content can be watched at home or on the go. Connect to what's happening in your community. Visit ccxmedia.org. What makes your community feel like home? Is it knowing what's happening in your neighborhood, or when people know your name? Connections make us a community. For more than 30 years, Northwest Community Television has connected citizens, neighbors, even sports fans through video. As life gets busier than ever, we will still offer you a connected community experience through CCX Media, so you can stay connected to the place you call home.
Our game of the week is a Northwest Suburban Conference West Division boys hockey clash between Osseo and Champlin Park. The Orioles and Rebels face off 7 o'clock Thursday at the Champlin Ice Forum. You can see it live on channels 799 and 12. And online at ccxmedia.org. You can also watch the telecast again Friday and Saturday nights at 7 p.m. That'll do it for Sports Jam. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you right here next week.